I'm Jerry Cohen. This is my wife. My wife, Claire.
Claire Cohen.
She saved my life. I had the stroke. The doctors had a lot of big hand in it, but she made them do it. She made them save me.
You have to realize that you're not the only one that's had this stroke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you have a stroke, your wife, you know, your kids, you know, your friends, everyone is, you know, right there with you.
He had kind of passed out and fell to the side and started to foam at the mouth, and then fell over, and they thought something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They had just finished lunch, and he had been perfectly fine, and he just collapsed.
He didn't feel good in the morning, and he had some yard work to do, and he went outside to do the yard work even though he didn't feel well. And I was in the house, and I went down, I looked outside, and he was sitting on the ground, which wasn't normal for him.
But basically I was unconscious.
The boys told them, the ambulance, I had a stroke.
I saw him, and what happened was his left side was drooping, and he was halfway asleep.
My arm went numb, and the whole left side went numb. Just like that.
They gave me some.
TPA, is that what it's called?
It's
The drug, the clot busting drug,
Mhm.
because he had gotten there within the 3-hour time period that they allow for that.
I was in the hospital. Didn't know a thing for 3 weeks.
He had a severe hemorrhagic stroke, very severe.
No, I knew it was a stroke because my father's stroke was a week before.
Now when he was at the hospital, they told me that they didn't think he would make it. And then they said, well, he'll make it, but he'll need to be in a nursing home.
It was caused probably by uncontrolled high blood pressure. And he's extremely lucky because they didn't think that he would ever walk again at all. He would always be in a wheelchair. And they didn't know what he would be able to do. And now he's able to walk. You know, he uses a cane, but he's able to walk.
Trying to get rid of the cane. My goal is to give the cane to somebody else who needs it.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, he's going to make it, and he just might need inpatient therapy. And then they said, you can take him home, he just needs outpatient therapy. So he was like a miracle as far as progressing. And he's a very determined individual.
Yeah, and he hasn't fared so well, you know. He suffers. I suffer from everything, including aphasia. I recovered, you know, from aphasia much more than he did, you know. So he's still struggling with that.
Is basically, this didn't come gradually. You know, this stroke didn't come gradually like a disease where people get worse and worse. It just happens like a heart attack. It just boom, and it happens.
The worry. But seeing him continue to strive and make progress, and knowing that now there is no, after 6 months, this is as good as it gets. After a year, this is as good as it gets. It's not true. It's been 4 years, and he continues to progress and make improvement. I don't think there is any cutoff. I think you keep trying, you keep training, you keep improving.
So I did rehab, you know, talk to Susan. I was a really bad patient because I wasn't patient with my own progress.
And all of a sudden you have someone who was doing at least 50% of the responsibilities in the house, not able to do them, and in addition to them not being able to do them, you have to do for the person to help them also to get better. So that's been the most challenging, to take over everything, you know, for a while. Now it's kind of reversed a little bit. Now Jerry's able to take over some of the things that he couldn't do before. So now it's getting a little bit easier.
And then as they were pursuing stroke certification, then they had to have some kind of an outreach program, and then they asked me to help them, you know, And so, so here I am, you know. I work with this support group, and I work with several stroke groups across the state. I run a website called Maryland Stroke Alliance.
I think and like I said, I don't consider myself a caregiver any longer. The first 3 months that he was really, really ill, that was one thing, but now I'm just his wife and I support him. So.
The first thing I tell him, like I was telling this gentleman here, you're not alone. You know, that's the first most important thing. You know, you always feel like you're the first person who's ever had a stroke, and you know, and nobody cares, and nobody's doing anything for you, and just knowing that you're not alone, and that able-bodied people care, you know, that don't even know you, you know, it makes a big difference.
I needed to find some groups where we had the same things in common, and that's really been very good. And I learned from the others, and they learned from me on what I've done to help Jerry and what they've done to help their people they're taking care of. So we learn from each other.
Some of them that she took, I didn't even know she was taking the classes. Just came back and said, look what I know now.
In the time it takes you to listen to this message, one more American will suffer a stroke. That's nearly 800,000 strokes a year. Stroke is a leading cause of death and serious long-term disability in the nation. It's important to recognize the symptoms of stroke. One way is to remember the word FAST, F-A-S-T. F for face, is your face drooping? A for arms, can you lift both arms? S for speech, are you slurring your words? And T for time. If you suspect a stroke, call 911 immediately, because with stroke, time is brain. Stroke strikes fast. You should too. For more information, visit strokeawareness.com. That's strokeawareness.com.